Hey guys!
This is Landmark School Cases
By Skylar.
Michael.
And Sam.
We hope you enjoy.
The first case I'm going to be talking about is the West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett in 1943. Walter Barnett's family, who were Jehovah's Witnesses, challenged a West Virginia state law requiring public school students to salute the flag and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. After his two children refused to salute the flag due to religious beliefs, they were expelled from school for not complying with the law, even though they believed it contradicted with their faith and their First Amendment rights. The case was brought to the local court, which ended with them siding with the school district. However, the disagreement did not end here. It was later brought to the Supreme Court, which political dominance at the time was Democratic, with the Chief Justice being Robert H. Jackson. The school district fought that saluting the flag was a regular part of the program of activities in public schools, and that all teachers and students should salute the flag, and that refusal to salute the flag would be an act of insubordination and shall be dealt with accordingly. The split in the decision amongst the court was 6-3, stating that it was unconstitutional for public schools to force children to salute the flag. The president established in final decision was that students may not be required to salute the American flag or recite the Pledge of Allegiance at public schools if it is contradictory to their religious beliefs.
The next case that I'm going to be talking about is Hazelwood v. Kuhlmeyer, and this was between the plaintiff, Kathy Kuhlmeyer, and two students of the Journalism 1 class at the defendant, the Hazelwood East High School in St. Louis, Missouri. In this case, Kathy was against her own school regarding an issue with the paper. I added a couple of visual elements to help fully understand this case. On the right, you can see Kathy with an issue of the Spectrum, which was a school paper. Under that, you can see the principal holding up the same issue of that paper. What happened in this case was Kathy Kuhlmeyer, along with two students, published two articles about teen pregnancy and divorce in the Spectrum paper. The principal, upon seeing this, decided that it was not appropriate for a school-funded paper and censored it. Kathy then went to court saying that this was in breach of her First Amendment rights and that she had the freedom of speech and could write about whatever she wanted to, given that this paper was a public forum. The original court date was in 1983, and the ruling sided with the defendant, with the school. Kathy then proceeded to appeal until it made its way to the Supreme Court in the late 1980s. In that decision, it was the Rehnquist Court, which was a Republican-leading court led by William H. Rehnquist. In the end, it was a 5-3 decision siding with this defendant, the school, saying that although Kathy believed it was a public forum, it was not a public forum because it was under the school's influence and under their guise. So it was a school forum, not a public forum. Therefore, the school was well within their rights to censor the paper, given it was their paper, it had their name on it, it was a school-funded paper. It was a 5-3 decision, as during the time of this case, the Supreme Court was in the process of renominating a Supreme Court justice. And in the end, the precedent that this established is that a school paper the school ultimately has the final decisions on what goes into a school paper. And the last thing that I want to point out is a political cartoon that I thought was pretty funny. It's in the upper left corner. It's about the Supreme Court mandating what a student can write in a paper. And I'll say my opinion on the full decision a little bit later, but that is Hazelwood v. Kuhlmeyer for you.
The case that I'll be talking about today is New Jersey versus TLO. Here are some pictures. We have Piscataway Township School's cigarette and the Fourth Amendment, which protects people from unreasonable searches and seizures. The plaintiff in the case was Tracy Louise Odom, also known as TLO. The defendant was Piscataway High School District. What happened was Tracy and her friend were smoking cigarettes in the bathroom at school, which was known as a non-smoking area. The teacher found her and reported it to the principal, where he then searched TLO's backpack and found marijuana, which was illegal. The school took this to the lower court, where the court sided with the school district, and TLO appealed it. Again, they took this to the Supreme Court in 1985, where the school district won again. The court was mostly Democrats. The precedent was that if suspected, searches are allowed by anyone, not just law enforcement personnel. The court sided with the school in the lower court and the Supreme Court. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court was Warren E. Burger. And the dissenting opinion was that the court should address the original issue, whether the precedent applies to searches made by public school officials and teachers in school. Again, here are some pictures. The Fourth Amendment is here, and the Piscataway Township School, because that's where TLO went to school, and that's the school district that took it to the court.
So now we're going to share our opinions on each case, and we're going to start off with the West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett. All three of us came to the final decision that we agree with the court's outcome. And personally, I agree with this outcome because I don't think the students should be forced to salute the flag.
We feel this way because we feel that if it is against their religious beliefs, they should not be forced to do something that goes against their religion.
Just to mirror on what Skylar and Sam said, it's guaranteed in our Constitution. Everyone has the right to religious freedom. And if someone feels like a certain policy is against religious freedom, I think that they are well within their rights to not enact or not do whatever that is. The next thing we're going to talk about is Hazelwood v. Kuhlmeyer. And in that case, we actually have a little bit of a disagreement on the final decision.
I agree with the court because we feel that if the school was sponsoring the newspaper, then the students should have to go with what the school wants in the newspaper, not what they think. And if the school thinks it's going to have a bad reflection on the school, then they should be allowed to say no.
I ultimately see both sides, but at the end of the day, I agree with what the court decided because, yes, the students should be allowed to write about what they want. It's a chance for them to share how they're feeling and express what they want the school community to know. But I also agree with the school and how it needs to be monitored and not everything is okay to put in the school paper.
And I disagree, although I understand the points that both the Supreme Court and my classmates ultimately came to. I think that limiting free speech in the classroom is a bad precedent to set for the future. If the writers in these papers are our future journalists, we want them to report the truth, not the censored truth. Therefore, I disagreed with this ultimate decision.
And the last case we're going to be talking about is New Jersey versus TLO. And I personally disagreed with this case and the outcome, but Skylar and Michael agreed with the final decision.
We agree with the final decision because although at the time, smoking was not illegal, they were in a non-smoking area, and they also were caught with marijuana, which was illegal, and they were doing it on school grounds, and it was just not the right time to be smoking and to be caught with any illegal drugs.
Yeah, to bounce off what Skylar said, I think that when you walk into a school building, you're allowing those officials rights. You have to abridge certain rights when you walk through the school door. We talked about that a little bit in class. So when I think you're in possession of something not allowed, when you're against the school code and you walk through the doors, you're putting yourself at risk of getting searched. And that's what I think the court decided, and that's why I agree with the decision.
I disagree with the decision because I think that if the substance was not illegal during the time, kids should be allowed to carry it on them. And I don't think it was right of the school to go through her bag just for finding her smoking. And I think that if they had more of a reason to go through her bag, it would be okay. But at the end of the day, I think that if the substance was legal and she's bringing it into school, then I don't think there's that big of a problem with it.
I disagree with that because I feel that she was in the bathroom hiding in a stall smoking, so they did have reason to search her bag. She was acting suspicious, doing suspicious behavior, and the precedent in the case said that if having suspicion, anyone besides law enforcement personnel are allowed to do unreasonable searches, and in this case I don't think it was unreasonable because they thought that she was being suspicious.
I also think it could be seen as a little bit unreasonable that they thought she was suspicious while she was in the bathroom, because the bathroom is supposed to be a private place and you're not supposed to feel like people around you are knowing what you're doing. But yes, we agree to disagree.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.